Previously on the Everyday Marksman.
I enlisted in Special Forces in 77. I joined SF when SF wasn't cool. So,
Tactics aside, competition is a game, but to do well in competition, you have to be able to shoot fast and accurately.
Marksmanship and being a rifleman, since I really got an AR-15 but never had the opportunity. So that's where I come from. I love the
started when I was 19 years old, and a friend of mine dragged me out to a range to shoot handguns for the very first time.
Talk to the young snipers and young competitive shooters, and they treat it like the tripod was invented 15 minutes ago. But back in the days, we
first and foremost, you need to ask yourself, are you going to reload or not? If you're not, you now have limited yourself to a couple of cartridges in my mind.
I qualified for the Junior Olympics when I was 13, and I went there, and I hadn't ever shot against any of these people. I mean, this was a national competition.
You have to have an enhanced will to survive. You need to have a positive attitude. You're going to make it. No matter what, you are going to walk out of there.
I wanted a backstory. I wanted to be the competent man. I wanted someone that's pretty good at a lot of things. I don't know why that appeals to me so much. I certainly admire expertise.
Once you kind of learned all of that, then it becomes 90% mental, and it might even be a bit conservative.
Hey there, Marksman. Welcome to episode number 49 of the Everyday Marksman, a podcast all about tactical skills for living a more adventurous life. Our website is everydaymarksman.co, and I'm your host, Matt Robertson. This episode is going to be a little different. It's more of a fireside chat, if you will. Now, if you aren't a subscriber to the email list or don't regularly check the website, you might not know what's been going on. And I'm going to talk about that because I've been quiet lately, and the last episode of this podcast was just over 2 months ago. But since then, I've been doing a bit of this and that, some soul searching, some live streaming with guys over at First Focal Plane that YouTube took down halfway through, so that was good times. And I've also been taking some much needed time and space to spend time with family and decompress from the demands of a busy day job. But today, I want to talk about where we're going, where we've been, and what you can do to help. So let's first talk about where we've been and what's been going on. Because you see, a little while back, I published an article on the website called Attacking Blind Spots and the Future of the Everyday Marksman. Now, I know that's an ominous title. I'm sure a lot of people saw that and thought that, oh no, Matt's going to shut down the website. And I promise you, no, that is not happening. This article stemmed from the soul searching and thinking about what it is exactly that I want the Everyday Marksman to be about. Because you see, we've had a bit of evolution over time. And that's a good thing. Change is part of life. Way back in the beginning, the Everyday Marksman was really a title I came up with to talk about me not being a pro shooter, going to the range and basically using it like a diary. And when I got serious, it became about writing informative articles and sharing lessons learned. And then it became about connecting marksmen like you together with the community. And then came this podcast where I wanted to talk to the experts and share their stories about the very things that I had been writing about. And all of this was good. It was great, and it grew wonderfully. I'm thrilled with how well it's done and the traction that I've gotten, the people I've gotten to talk to. But I was starting to feel like everything was just falling into a content grind. Now, what does that mean? What is a content grind or a content treadmill? Well, one of the things you're going to learn if you ever get into blogging or podcasting or making videos, all the experts are going to tell you that you need to be consistent. You need to have a day or multiple days in a week that you're going to put out that content and people know to come look at it, come listen to it, come read it, or listen, whatever. But you have to be consistent. That builds trust. And for a long time, that was easy. There was so much to say and write about. But you see, I don't like to feel like I am just writing or recording content for the sake of putting something out there. The simple truth is that by this point, I've already written a lot of articles about a lot of things, and I don't necessarily have a whole lot new to add on the subject. Now, I also make a huge effort to go back and update those articles as I do learn new things and shift positions, so the ideas for brand new things to write about aren't as easy to come by as they were 4 years ago. And that's okay. At the same time, the podcast format has just blown up all over the world in the last 2 years. And it seems like you can't throw a rock without hitting someone who has a podcast these days. And you know what? That's also great. I am glad there are people out there talking about their passions and connecting with others. But that means I want to do something a little bit different, a little bit special. And when you start getting into content production like this, whether it's written, video, audio, or anything else, you're going to learn that people come to you because they want to be informed, inspired, or entertained. And for the most part, I have spent my entire time trying to do the first of those really, really well, to be informative. Now, maybe a little entertaining. Clearly, you've stuck around with me, so I'm not that boring to listen to, but I want to change that. So where are we going to go from here? What's happening next? Now, during all of this thinking about what it means to be an everyday marksman, I've had a lot of conversations with Allison, my wife. I've had conversations and chats with other bloggers and YouTubers and podcasters. I've been talking to our own community of marksmen in the Discord channel. And we've been thinking a lot more about what it means to be a marksman, an everyday marksman, particularly in the United States. What is the total skill set? Not just the gear and the shooting pieces that I know that are the most popular things that I produce, but the entire picture, the fitness, the survival skills. We had a recent, very, very in-depth conversation about what is the minimum amount of radio communication skills that the everyday marksman should know how to do. And it was a really fun conversation, one that I hope to share with you in the future. But during all of this, I rediscovered a quote from Mark Ripito. Now, Mark Ripito is a longtime strength and fitness coach who is responsible for Starting Strength. It's a program that I follow. It's been very effective in the past for me. And he also runs a podcast that I keep tabs on of the same name. But here's his quote. Are you ready? Strong people are harder to kill than weak people and more useful in general. I'm going to say that one again. Strong people are harder to kill than weak people and more useful in general. Now, while Mark is specifically talking about physical strength, and I completely agree with him, as do many other experts I've read in the past, I have this deep gut feeling that this quote applies to so many areas of life, especially those that we touch on here at the Everyday Marksman. It's about physical, mental, and emotional strength and building them up using military skills practiced throughout human history. I want to help create stronger people because stronger people live better lives. They make better citizens. So how am I going to do this? I don't know if you ever heard this quote, but what got us here won't get us there. So with that, the Everyday Marksman is going to change and evolve a little bit from here on out. So let's talk about the podcast first, the thing you're listening to. See, I love storytelling. And I want to better feature stories of marksmen, and not just the accomplishments of pro shooters and military specialists and people who've done amazing things in lives, but the everyday folks like you and I. Because sometimes those are the most compelling stories. On our new path, it's my goal to make these stories the centerpiece of what we do here. So first off, I want to hear you. I want to hear from you. What is your story? Tell me about your trials, your tribulations, your accomplishments. I don't care if it's a small victory about just getting started, your first gun, or an epic journey from beginner to master. I want to hear it and probably talk to you about it. Now, to do that, I have created a page on the website for you to tell me about your marksman story. So here's the URL, everydaymarksman.co/story. Again, it's everydaymarksman.co/story. Now, secondly, while I was thinking about the podcasts out there, I realized the ones that I enjoy the most are not necessarily the solo talking heads or the formal interviews or the group of dudes hanging out and talking and just recording it. Those are all fun in their own way, and I like listening to them. But that's the stuff that I feel like everyone has been doing. And if I'm honest with myself, the ones that I like the most, the ones that really draw me in, are the ones that tell the stories of things that are interesting to me and have high production value. They use clips and real investigation into doing things. If you've ever listened to NPR, or BBC, or Gimlet, or others, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, I also realize that all of those really great production houses have an entirely different worldview than I do. And also, being totally honest, whenever one of those NPRs or BBCs does a podcast about the shooting sports, it's rarely ever flattering to you and I. So let's change that. Starting soon, I would love to say in the next episode, but you never know, I may do something different. In the meantime, we're entering the next season of the Everyday Marksman, and it's going to be a whole new ball game. We're going to pick deep dive topics, and we're going to go down over several episodes and learn everything we can. We're going to tell the story. Your story, our story of being marksmen. It's going to be awesome. Now, what else is going on? Well, do you like streaming? I realize that not everybody always wants that highly edited and curated experience that we do here on the podcast. And it doesn't always seem like it, but I spend a lot of time editing my interviews with people to make sure that everything sounds good. And a lot of times I almost cut out half the audio that we had in the process. Some people just really like to hear it raw, and even more, they like to interact with me or the guests while we're talking. So, I would like to try my hand at some regular live streams. I promise I'm not too ugly for the camera. And oh, by the way, Allison also wants to come join along, because she's been a big part of this family and this podcast and the website for a while. I want to make sure she gets to express that, because she is super into it as well. So what can you expect from that? Well, I'm not sure yet. I don't know when we're going to get to it. Soon, I hope. But I do know the emphasis will be on real discussions and having fun along the way. So if you want to know when that's going to happen and you want to get first dibs on signing up and getting into it, well, the best place to do is come to the website. Right on the front page at everydaymarksman.co, you'll find our big email subscribe. Just give me your name and your email, and the rest will happen from there. You'll be the first one to know when things start happening. Now, I know the question is going to come up. Does this mean I'm going to stop writing? Absolutely not. I will still be writing and publishing. But I do want to be honest that this new format is a priority right now. And as I told the guys at First Focal Plane, we can't all do everything great all of the time. So what does that mean? Well, you'll see guest posts, you'll see product reviews, you'll see some thoughts here and there. But for the most part, it's going to be a lot of keeping things updated while we're working on this new format that I want to share with you. So what can you do in the meantime? I know I'm supposed to give you one clear call to action, but I have two. The first one, tell me your story. Go to everydaymarksman.co/story and tell me yours. Tell me what makes you tick, what makes you want to be involved, what gets you excited, or tell me about something that happened to you. I want to share that story. I want to dig into it, and I want to share it with others and probably talk to you about it even on the podcast if you're game. Now, secondly, while you're there, go ahead and subscribe to the email list if you're not already there. Don't worry, I don't spam anybody. I just keep you informed about what's going on with the website, any new articles coming out, and give some thoughts from time to time, some behind the scenes stuff. And hey, if you really like what I'm doing here, you can go to everydaymarksman.co/support, and you can help buy me a box of ammo for $5. You know what? I don't think that works anymore these days. $5 used to be fine. Have you tried to buy ammo lately? That's fine. You can donate $5. I'll buy some coffee with it, because it's going to be some late nights doing some audio editing and everything we got to do to make this work. But all right, that's going to be it for me. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I look forward to sharing the next phase of the Everyday Marksman with you. So until next time, take care of yourself, stay strong, hold tight.